we are a fan-centric club. We are a club that's driven by that fan ethos in that sense. How do we then bridge that relationship to grow more fans in that sense? So, creating a bigger fan base is important for us.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Tanish Katti here from the Football Digest, and welcome to our podcast. I am joined here by Dr. Suresh Letchmanan from India, first of all, but working as the managing director for Borussia Dortmund in Asia Pacific region. Hello, Dr. Suresh. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Kati. How are you? I'm very well, thank you.
I'm all good. Thank you so much for asking. And I apologize for the jersey, but it's great to connect with you over this podcast. And thank you so much for being our guest speaker on this episode.
Not a
Uh,
problem at all. Always a
Before we
pleasure.
move on to the details of the podcast, I would like you to introduce yourself to the public because I believe you would be able to better, explain your journey. So
Sure.
please.
More than happy to that. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Suresh Letchmanan. I'm the managing director of Borussia Dortmund, Asia Pacific. I've been with the club for the last 11 years. I've been with the industry for over 20 years in various capacities in agencies as a former sports lawyer, and now very much focusing into the development of football administration, football business here in Borussia Dortmund. I'm based here in Singapore, where our Asia Pacific office is. I also have an office in Shanghai, which looks after my East Asia office. And we also have recently opened an office in New York, representing the America region. So that's our international setup here in Borussia Dortmund.
Well, that's really great to hear. And being from India and being at such a position where lakhs of people aspire to be, it would be definitely a privilege to you for you to be in this position. But uh, when it comes to your journey or your personal journey, I would like to know what was the reason for choosing Borussia Dortmund as a club, but along with that, why the Asia Pacific region when you could have moved into maybe Europe or maybe into the American region?
Yeah, I mean, Borussia Dortmund, as you know, I mean, this was you're looking at 12, 13 years ago. We were in the Champions League final, and there were only all German Champions League final. Then was Bayern and again Dortmund. And that was a huge platform to showcase German football. This was obviously prior to 2014, where Germany won the World Cup in Brazil, and that opportunity to showcase the league, German football, was a huge opportunity and a priority in that sense, to have the visibility internationally. Hence, you don't often get the best of two German teams playing in a Champions League final, and in 2012, 2013, that situation presented itself at Wembley, and with that reach, both Bayern and Dortmund, obviously, being powerhouses in Germany when it comes to football, wanted to obviously find a way to internationalize their brand. Um, and Dortmund being the dark horse, or the team that probably plays second fiddle to Bayern, obviously need to find a way to show its presence internationally, and that's where the club decided at some stage that they want to be seen in the markets in Asia. Of course, there are many other markets where we can think about, the likes of Japan, Hong Kong, and of course, there's opportunity here in Singapore, where it's an Southeast Asian hub. It's a gateway to the rest of Asia. It's a strategic platform or positioning for Borussia Dortmund. And on top of that, we've got the presence in Singapore with our partners like Puma, Evonik. The Bundesliga was also based here in Singapore. So I think, and we also have the relationship with our sports agency, Sport 5 then. So there are 3 or 4 really strategic reasons why we position ourselves in Singapore. And like I said, Singapore provides us with that gateway to the rest of Asia in that sense. And hence, now fast forwarding 11 years, we've been on ground here. We've done many, many things, from friendly games to tours, to Legends games, to corporate partnerships, to sportive partnerships, to corporate social responsibility activities, merchandising, fan engagement. You name it all. We have done it in the last 11 years, and we are still improving and growing.
I mean, that really sounds interesting when it comes to a German team headquartered in Southeast Asia. But when it comes to Asia as a region, what are the target markets that Dortmund has focused upon until now, and in the next, I'll say, in the next decade or so?
Yeah. Again, we always have strategic plans. You can't just go into a market and cast the net wide and get whatever you want to do for the club. It doesn't work that way. We have strategically planned our operations way in advance when we set up the office in 2014. So there are the lowest hanging fruits that I typically say we would go into such markets to at least find those relationships and bring the Dortmund brand up. So typically Southeast Asia with Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam being a big region for us when it comes to fan engagement, because the fans in these markets range anything between 7 to 900,000 in terms of followers in that sense, and they have been very loyal. They've been very true to the club, and with that relationship, it sort of garnered a lot of opportunities for us to grow the club in terms of on ground presence. So what we did is we brought down the likes of legends over. We had former World Cup players like Karl-Heinz Fiedler coming over. And again, having touch points with our fans are very important. So I think those were the lowest hanging fruits for us. Secondly, also we're also embarking into markets like Japan. Japan was one of the first few key markets that I would say when we started the office back then, because we had a wonderful Asian player that played and graced the black and yellow colors for us, which is Shinji Kagawa, who then moved to Manchester United, and then he came back to us, I think, sometime in 2015 as well. So that was important for us to reach and have local hero stories, right? So that's important for us when we have hero stories, that you could have that individual or that person not just having its presence in Japan, but also for the rest of Asia. I think Kagawa has done miraculously well for us, or was fantastic for our brand in terms of also showcasing Asian talent. That you're not just there to sell or buy a shirt, but also there to be counted and to be able to perform at the highest level. And Shinji has done a fantastic job for us in making Dortmund present in our Asian shores. So those, I would say, key markets for us. Of course, I will touch on India a little bit more, because India has its own strengths and weaknesses in that sense. But I'm happy to touch on that should you have any questions regarding that football in India. But generally, the other parts of Asia, including China, was also very important for us. There was a huge demand for international players as soon as the China League was ongoing, or we were building themselves, and a lot of players, or even close to retired players, were going to China to play in that sense. So we had a game plan, we had a strategy. We were very, very focused in knowing what the first 3 to 5 year plans are for Asia, and as I mentioned, those were the markets that were important for us to kickstart this Dortmund journey.
Well, when it comes to strategy, it's a very well known fact that any business to be successful, strategy has to be at the core of it. And as we have seen over the past 11 years that you have mentioned, the Dortmund has done various projects in Asia, and connecting that gap between the Western world and the Eastern world. So could you let us know what are some of the successful projects or fan engagement activities that have been done by the club in the previous years?
We started in 2015. We did the first ever Asia tour. We were in Singapore, Malaysia, Japan. I think the club has never traveled to Asia before. I think they had one very short trip to Indonesia, if I can remember correctly, sometime back in 2007, 2008. But I mean, then if you were to look 10 years or 12 years later, or it was a completely new setup with the management team. We were close to bankruptcy, in 05, 06, and now the club has gone through a huge transition in that sense with really huge individuals that have come and saved our club. Most notably our chairman and our CEO, current CEO, Mr. Hans Joachim Watzke, who was instrumental to our club and where it is right now. Of course, we have the likes of our CEO, CMO, Mr. Carsten Kramer, who's also very instrumental to rebuilding this whole international strategy for us in that sense. And that's important for us. In that sense, we have two very strong individuals who have changed the face of Borussia Dortmund in terms of what we want to do internationally. And having said that, we had the team here in Singapore in 2015, which was the first ever that the club is seen in the market. We had close to 600 fans at the airport, waiting for us to arrive. And we typically do not arrive through the VIP route. We arrived in the normal route so that we are able to have a chance to meet the fans. And this is again Borussia Dortmund 11 years ago. I mean, it's a tough call. Not many people at that stage would know who our club is. But then if you look at the players that we had, Ilkay Gundogan, Aubameyang, big name players, Roman Weidenfeller, Marco Reus, Nuri Sahin, Mkhitaryan, big names, which eventually all these players went to different clubs after a few years with us into playing in bigger clubs like Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, etc. But we at that stage felt that the timing was right. Going into these markets were important. As I mentioned to you earlier on, being close to the fans are important. The fan-centric and the fan engagement that we have is it's necessary for us. Not many people have the ability or the affordability to jump on a plane and fly 10,000 miles away, 10,000 miles to Dortmund. It's an expensive investment. So why don't we then find a way to be present in the market? So we did that for 3 years in Asia. So we were in Singapore, Malaysia, Japan. Then the following years, we were 2 years in China and Japan. So 3 years on a row, we were really building our strategy in Asia, which really paid off for us. And with that, there were a lot of businesses that came out from the club, from sponsorship opportunities, sportive opportunities, merchandising opportunities, which eventually grew for us. And that was so important for us. Fan numbers escalated. So those were things that we did, and we were proud to be the very first German club to do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and along with all these tools and along with all these scams that you have previously done, could you let us know any sort of activations that have been done in Asia, which was specific for the Asian people, to engage with to engage with the fans, to engage with the players, maybe virtually or maybe in person, because there have been tough times, recently when it was COVID, when there were some issues when it comes to the Asian region. So how do you tackle those particular problems as
Yeah,
an organization?
a good question. So, I mean, again, we've utilized the offices that we have here in Asia. So, our East Asia office that helps manage the markets of Japan, Korea, China, for example. So, anything and everything that we do on ground, be it viewing parties, we bring the trophies whenever we won championships or cup games. And we do a trophy tour here around the market. So that is accompanied by a former player, and then together with business partners that we work with, we tend to do an event, run an event around these activities. So from friendly football games with our fans to maybe a meet and greet session with the players. We do dinners, we do auctions, we visit things like the children home, or we run charitable activities for the less privileged or the underprivileged. So there are 4 or 5 really top activities that we garner and do very much on ground. Every 1 year, I would probably say we have typically anything about between 6 to 7 really on ground activities with the fans in that sense. Coming back to your question regarding COVID, and then even during COVID times, we've engaged with all our stakeholders, from the media to the fans to our partners, very closely through digital means or through virtual means. We did the first ever virtual tour. It's never been done before. 2 years in a row when we were overcoming this whole COVID pandemic, and it was difficult for us. As you know, football it's a game that brings everyone together. And in all due credit and all due big kudos to the league, to the Bundesliga, and to the clubs, that we all put our minds together in order for us to connect with the fans, and especially for international fans. It's difficult because we don't get the chance to watch the games. The games are not played. It's only at the later stage that we have a closed door opportunity where the Bundesliga were the first actually to do it without any fans in the stadium, but it still sends that message out. But how do we then connect with our stakeholders? So these are things that we tend to do. We have been engaging it virtually, digitally, and the numbers have obviously been well. Players were able to connect with fans. We do meet and greet sessions. We have conversations as we are having right now with the likes of Erling Haaland, Emre Can, all the different top players, and they get chance to meet their fans, right? It's not easy when you do it on the pitch because you don't have time, because you're focusing on the game. But during COVID and pandemic, you have the chance to have that interaction, that engagement with the players, your heroes, the superstars that you have always idolized, being young aspiring footballers ourselves, and to be close and personal with the players that you watched on television, for example. So those are things that we have done very closely. We've also signed memorabilia from the players, from Jude Bellingham, for example, when he was with us. So those are things that we have done very, very religiously in the past, especially during COVID times. That's like I said, it's important for us to be close. Our fans are part of our DNA. Without our fans, there's no club. Dortmund is built on fan centrics, right? So this is important. Why? And that's why you have the yellow wall. That's why you have 80,000 people in the stadium. This is so important for us because these are the guys that eat, sleep, bleed Dortmund. You know what I mean? And this is where it also get exported out to us internationally in that sense. So here in Asia, we're very proud. Whenever the club and the club is in town, or when the players are in town, you could see the loyalty that the Asian fans have with us.
Well, that's really great to hear. And I do agree with you that any club, because it's a mandate in Germany with the 50+1 rule, but I believe any club is successful only if the fans are in the support of the club, are in the
Correct.
support of the management, and in support of the team, basically.
Yes.
And yeah, but before we move forward with the professional journey and with the professional, questions regarding the organization and yourself, I would like to know the person behind this, behind the organization, because it's not something, when it comes to football, there is a certain passion which anyone in the sport will definitely have for the sport itself. So from a personal level, how long have you been following football, and how have you ever played football, as a player?
Okay, this is well, a good question as well. I mean, again, it takes me back when I was probably 4 or 5. My first love has always been football. Um, I mean, I'm just like you. I was a Manchester United fan. I grew up because my grandfather supported Manchester United, and I fell in love with the club because of a certain George Best and Dennis Law and Bobby Charlton. Those were the three that heroes that my grandfather idolized when he was growing up himself, and he played the game at a very highest level, represented the country as well. So and yeah, I tried to follow his footsteps. And then my uncle was also. A couple of my uncles were also playing in a semi-professionally. Then we don't really have a professional league, so it was a semi-professional, and I just grew loving the sport and always dreamt of being in that on that pitch, wearing a jersey and running around with the ball and in front of thousands of people. When you watch for example, the FA Cup or the Premier League or the English League, then as it was known. Um, I was glued to the TV set, or I was glued to the box, and yeah, I was also watching all the other leagues. I was not just inspired by English football, but Serie A, Bundesliga. Those were the three that were regularly shown on television, and of course, when the World Cups and international games come, you support the team with their whole heart. And of course, here in Singapore as well, the national team. And I grew up watching local football, and local football was actually the main driver for us rather than just the international football. So I played. I mean, I had a good guidance for my granddad, and also through schools, and then I developed, and I was part of a very very strong CCA school team, and then I represented um, at national level, and then eventually I had the stint to play semi-professional for 4 years, and that was something that was inspiring. It didn't bring food to the table, unfortunately, because it's just semi-professional in that sense, or even amateur football to a certain extent. But I enjoyed it. I had a good spell playing at a certain level, but you need a bit of luck as well. And sometimes, if you feel that you were able to play at that level, but the coaches feel otherwise, that you are not good enough, then you have to look at somewhere else, right? So I had the chance to go to the UK. This was way back in early 2000, where I embarked my legal journey as a student in law school. But I had the chance to continue to play football, and I played at university level, and even at amateur level in the UK. It was still difficult, even at amateur level, not easy, to be honest, with all the lower leagues. But I knew, what, football wasn't something that I could progress in that sense. I missed the boat. I knew myself at some stage that if I had a different opportunity in my life, I would relish it and try to become a pro footballer. Uh, but now I'm living it as working for a professional football club, so I won't discontinue, or I won't want to say that okay, I've regretted it. So I still enjoy what I'm doing. But yeah, I was a footballer. I love playing. I still do play football on a social level, even at the age of above 50 in that sense. But it's all casual. It's all run. It's all fun, recreational. But football doesn't get away from me in that sense. I still do it every week and every weekend if I have a chance.
Well, definitely, when you come back to India, we'll definitely catch up and have a game of football. Uh,
Sure.
but coming to your professional journey and coming to the organization, what are the key objectives for Borussia Dortmund, as we have discussed? Because it's been almost more than a decade now that Dortmund has been in the Asian market. And where do you see are the next potential touch points, or the next potential uh, opportunities which Dortmund would like to approach in the next 5 to 10 years?
Again, Dortmund, for us, the last 11 years or 10 years, the last 10, we have built the club organically, and we are where we are today. We are very proud of our the stories that we have shared in the past, and we would obviously want to close the gap with the other bigger clubs. Like for us, looking at where Bayern is right now, and where they have progressed on the pitch, we want to make sure that we are competitive on the pitch. This is important for us to be successful on the pitch. But at the same time, we will also want to be successful off the pitch. What else could we do? As I said, we are a fan-centric club. We are a club that's driven by that fan ethos in that sense. How do we then bridge that relationship to grow more fans in that sense? So, creating a bigger fan base is important for us. Creating more fan clubs. We want to build as many fan clubs as possible. And then at the same time, looking at the colors of our club, black and yellow, we want to get our merchandise as far as possible, as wide as possible, as accessible as possible. Not every market that we have do get the chance for us to grow our merchandising in that sense. So those are things that we really want to build further. It's not an easy opportunity for us in that sense, because as you know, Asian fans are a little bit spoiled because they also follow the successes of the team. If Liverpool wins every season, your fan base increases, and if Manchester United does the same, then your fan base. So it's a popularity contest. I've always said this in all my interviews. Asia, it's completely different from Europe. We do have our hero clubs that we support, but again, we are fair weathered, right? So if a team wins, then we've moved to to greener pastures, as we call it, to a club that you feel has become successful. Man City has done that in many years. You see the fan base for Man City escalating, and then now if Liverpool is coming back. So in terms of loyalty, you do get the older generation tend to have a little bit more loyalty in that sense. The younger generation, in my opinion at least, tend to be swung towards successes and popularity in popular clubs in that sense. So for us, I think those are two things that are critical for us. Again, we want to be a little bit more present in the market. So we hope to have the team back in Asia this year. This year we went to the US for the FIFA Club World Cup. So, and again, next year is also a very big year for the US with the upcoming World Cup that's happening. So we don't want to restrict our fans here in Asia. So we have not planned where we will be, but we definitely want to be back in Asia next year, and we want to ensure that the fans get a chance to be close to the club, because that's where we are. So those are things that we would like to do in that sense, coming in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, this has always been a priority for us. We also want to look into more sustainable and projects in that sense. So sustainability is very, very important for us. We are very, very concerned about and eager to be one of the most sustainable clubs in the world in terms of efficiency, in terms of energy savings, etc. In terms of what we want to do with society today. I think football is just not. It's not about what goes on the pitch. It's what you do out of the pitch in activities like this. So I hope we could continue to grow this, and this has been part of we have embarked to do as well. And lastly, it's also our youth philosophy. Our youth philosophy is our DNA. So if you were to see all of our previous players, young upcoming players like Pulisic, Bellingham, Haaland, Sancho, we've all taken them at a very, very young age and giving them a chance at Dortmund, right? So that philosophy will never change. We have also bring in a lot of younger players right now. Right now with Joe Bellingham coming in, we got Cole Campbell, in the team. So we have very, very good young aspiring boys coming into the team, and that's the youth setup that we have. We would also like to embark into Asia to see, hopefully, bringing the next Shinji Kagawa, the next Asian player, and the next Asian talent to come into our program to ensure that they will be able to at least play in the league or eventually play for Borussia Dortmund. So those are really, really 3, 4 things or 5 things that I've shared that we are very, very focused on. This will not change, of course. Now with technology, with AI, and everything, with how that could also come in to sort of provide us with that uplift in that sense, because football these days, we are also looking at tech, and tech is the way forward as you look into developing the game in itself.
Yes, and there was a good point mentioned by you when it comes to the next 5 to 10 years, that Asian fans are very success driven when it comes
Correct.
to their following. So I would like to know, because any organization, when they are developing, when they are expanding their network, they do face some sort of issues or problems when it comes to their expansion, because it's a very cluttered market, not just Asia but around the world. It's a very cluttered market. So as an organization, what are the biggest challenges that you yourself as well as Borussia Dortmund is facing right now in Asia?
Good question. For us, I mean, it's been a learning curve for us, right? So I mean, that's why me as an Asian person, that the club has empowered, that the club has supported, to be that face for Asia, right? So, and it's easy for me as an Asian person, to understand the Asian market because I live in Asia. I know exactly what the Asian demands are, and I'm sitting more like a conduit between the East and the West and find a nice, compatible solution, or find a nice marriage in that sense, so that people understand what the club wants. And that's why for me, knowing the Dortmund philosophy, knowing the Dortmund ethos, and then having that transferred into the Asian market. And it's not easy, because you can't cut and paste what you do in Thailand and put it in India, for example. You can't cut and paste what goes on in India and moving it to China or to Japan. It doesn't work that way. You need to understand cultures. I think business cultures, in my opinion, is very, very important. It's number one thing that you need to think about, because um, everyone thinks football, it's great, yeah, we do it in Germany, we do it in Europe, yeah, we can just find a solution and put it into Asia. It doesn't work that way. There's different demands, there are different strengths in working in different markets, and you need to be on ground. Language is important, culture is important, uh, the football ecosystem in that market is important, the business cultures in that market is important, communities, how you drive communities, community relationships. So those are things, like I said, are important for us. It's not a one shoe fits all. So that's why it's important for us to understand, learn, connect, network, be on ground, be close to the people, understand the mechanics around it, be it federations, associations, clubs, youth academies, and also the business owners themselves. So those are things that you really need to spend. I spend a lot of time on ground. To be honest, I every second week I'm on a plane in a different market. So for the last 11 years, that has been my go-to every now and then. So and you build an ecosystem in that sense. So you have your colleagues in your team then who knows, based on my direction, based on my presence in the markets, and then I share this back to my colleagues in Germany, that they know, hey, all right, Suresh has done this. This is exactly what it's done. And then it's been further amplified and supported by the league, by the other clubs, because they are also in the market, right? And on top of that, they see exactly what we do, and we learn from each other, right? So I think knowledge is there to be shared, and I always feel going into even opportunities to go into university, colleges, schools, the academics, and share this philosophy with them, so that they are ready. That when you go out there into the footballing world, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's not something that you could just read off the internet and execute it. It's a process in that sense. So you really need to understand cultures. You need to make that effort to want to learn, right? And it's not doesn't even for me at this age. I still find that I still have a lot to learn if I go to a certain market. You can't just go in and try to engage and exercise those knowledge that you have learned, for example, in Europe. You have to be a little bit more cultured in that sense. So those are things that I would say, yeah, it can be challenging to a certain extent, but you need to also find ways to be able to listen, receive, understand, and also take certain positives from the markets that you're there. That's how you find a good marriage together.
Yes, definitely. And when it comes to the Asian market, and when it comes to India as well, India, we have seen that Borussia Dortmund has various fan clubs across various cities in India, right? And you also have that ongoing partnership with Hyderabad FC, if I'm not wrong. But when it comes to India, this has been my observation. There are a lot of Bayern fans, from because I'm talking about a German based ecosystem. There are a lot of Bayern fans when it comes to when it comes to India. And what would be the the first priority when it comes to Borussia Dortmund? What would you think is the next step to not convert those fans, because that's not possible, but with Gen Z and then the younger generation coming in, and a lot of focus being put on the fan centric content. And we have recently seen that there has been a shift in the Borussia Dortmund Instagram channel as well. There's a lot of content which is based on the Indian songs or the Indian content. Is that a shift basically to get the Indian fans included as well?
Yeah, I said earlier on that I will touch on India a bit more, and I think that this is timely that you brought this question up. See, for me, India, we started in 2016, 2017. To go into India, it was a bold move for us because we all know the number one sport is cricket, right? So it's hard for us to get the numbers and the successes as what cricket has done, in the past. And the Indian Super League and Indian football, it's growing. It has its strengths, and I think right now Indian football is really optimum. And the national team is doing really really well. And even from a club perspective, you can see really the talented players coming through the league, and I'm extremely pleased and see how this has progressed. But for Dortmund, when we came in, this was like 8-9 years ago. It was tough, because it's so English Premier League driven. In India, every other month or every quarter you'll have United or Liverpool. You'll have a watch party in Mumbai, or you have a watch party in Delhi. You have the likes of Dwight York, and Andy Cole, and we have Steve McManaman and all these guys coming from the Premier League, which obviously has built the English clubs have done really well. They've come at very early stages, prior to where we as a club has come into India, and they've taken the leap of faith to come in to want to be close to the fans. We don't know exactly what reach we will get, if we bring Dortmund, to do a viewing party, for example. First and foremost, is there a Bundesliga telecasted match in India? That's the first thing you always ask. Yes, because Premier League is always more prevalent in that sense. But having said that, with Star before and Sony and all these guys that were part of this with the broadcast rights for India, then it gives us more chance for us to be present. We did it in 2017. We've started building fan clubs in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Kochi, in Bangalore,
Pune.
and Pune. Sorry.
Pune, yeah.
So with that, it gives us a lighthouse, in each of these Indian states. How do we then intensify that? So this is important for us. So intensifying the presence in India, it's like I said, it's not how we do it in Thailand. Thailand has a different set of sort of structure in what we want to do. We have a plan in Thailand which is a lot more easier to execute than India in that sense. Indicates India, it's an animal on its own. You know what I mean? So even within the interstates, it's what we do in the south may differ from what you do in the north or in the middle, in central India, for example, right? So it's a lot of thinking that we need to do, and how do we reach the numbers in that sense. When I mean numbers, we want to grow the fan base in that sense. So in 2017, I did the first ever viewing party in Bangalore, and I brought Jörg Heinrich, who was a Champions League winner in '97 and a Euro winner as well, a German national left player who plays in the wing back. Fantastic individual, great player, and I thought it would be good to bring someone like him. And we were blown away in 2017 in Bangalore, and we set up the fan club, and we had a viewing party, and then we saw, hey, you know what? There is something good about these events that we do, these silo events that we do. We had close to about almost 200 people in a hotel up in Bangalore. I can't remember, was it the Hyatt, on the rooftop, and it was beautiful. We had a viewing party. There was I think it was Dortmund Schalke, or was it Dortmund Leverkusen, one of the games, and we were on the back of winning the German Cup, and we brought the cup over. So we had so many people. We had the embassy, we had the German consul. Sorry, we had German companies. We had Indian companies. We had the fans. So with that, we felt, what, we've nailed it. This is how we should be doing it. Going onto ground and trying to get as many people as we can, but possibly at the same time build the business relationships as we go along. You know what I mean? So with that, it started very well for us in India in 2017. Then it grew. We had a lot of interest from a lot of the ISL teams, Indian Super League teams. We had meetings with Mumbai FC, we had meetings with Chennai, we had with Northeast. With so many different clubs that were interested, but we weren't sure exactly what was the right framework, to come into India. We weren't sure exactly what the growth would be. We weren't sure what the appetite would be in that sense. Hence, at that stage, we were just a little bit apprehensive. Then came the opportunity to work with Hyderabad, which was timely in that sense. But then eventually, unfortunately, COVID hit us. So that's when everything went down south, and we weren't able to continue the relationship. As you know, football is you need to have contact in that sense, and having
Yeah.
it virtually and digitally didn't make sense for us. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that relationship didn't work out, but it gave us that strength and belief there was possibilities in India. And so 2020, post COVID, we came with a brand new sort of plan, with brand new aspirations in that sense. And we signed now. It's probably in our third year with an organization called MIFA. It's with the Murugappa Group in down south in Chennai. It's an amazing opportunity for us to empower young boys and girls from dysfunctional families, and the foundation was the perfect setup for us to provide the black and yellow feel for us. We didn't want to jump into working with a football club straight away, and we thought through the conglomerate or through the foundation, it gives us enough to work and grow the Dortmund story in that sense. So we've been with the MIFA, or the AMM Foundation as they are known, in Chennai for the last almost coming 3 years right now. And we had very, very good inroads into it. Recently, we were also in a sports and business conference in Chennai I think was in June or July, and we had so much interest in that sense in terms of what Dortmund could do. So again, I think reaching out to the masses is important. We would like to replicate the same to do in further up north in India, whether it's Delhi, Mumbai, whether it's Gujarat, whether it's Northeast. These are things that we need to do. We have to plan and find the right angle in a way for us to work in India. I'm very confident there is a lot of chances for us to grow the Indian market. The numbers for fans are ever growing. But what's next? How can we reel in businesses? How can we find an opportunity? And to be honest, Tanish, if there's a chance, I would love to bring the team to India. This is not an easy feat. I can tell you, and you can probably answer this question. Tell me how many first teams or national clubs have played in India. Not many.
Not
And if
many.
there were, I
Not
think
many.
there was a farewell. There was a farewell for I think for Oliver Kahn many years ago. I think that was one activity. Hoffenheim played quite some time back in. I think this was. I'm not sure whether it was in Northeast or Punjab that they played. I mean, you
Yeah.
had the likes of Firmino, you had Niklas Zule, and all these guys that were in India. But we want to be that first club to make sure that there is some presence that we could do. And I think if there's a chance for us to have the team there, we will do it. Probably, maybe to start off with, maybe we could put together a team of former players, legends. We can invite the likes of Marco Reus and Mats Hummels, and with some of the former players to come to India and have a game. That could also build and find a way that we could do something in that sense. So we are very committed to the Indian market. We just need to find the right approach to it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to say, "Oh yeah, let's come to India. Let's come to India." yes, coming to India is one thing. We can come to India, but what can we do to build that relationship
Yeah.
further in India? That's crux for us in that sense. I mean, from a digital perspective, from a social media perspective, this is all great, but physical presence in India is the most important for us.
Yeah, exactly. And before we end this episode, there's just one last question that I would like to ask you. Is that every journey, when it comes to an end, there has to be some sort of a goal in mind for any person that is involved. And that would be my question to you. What is the long term legacy that you would like to leave behind in Dortmund's Asia journey, and what would it be, basically?
I want to be selfish here. I want to say to plant as many black and yellow flags all around Asia. For me, that would be my. I mean, I don't want to leave any markets out. I mean, we've done all the big key markets. I want to go into markets like Cambodia, Laos. I want to go into countries like Nepal. And I don't know if there's a chance where we could plant a flag. I would do it, and then I would like to see if you have a chance to look at it, look at the map, digitally, and you could see all the black and yellow flags all around Asia. That would be the legacy. But for me, that's one. But for me personally, on the flip side, would be for me to see the next Asian player wearing that black and yellow flag running at Signal Iduna Park Stadium. That would that I would say I would have left a legacy, in Asia in that sense, and I think probably I would have done my job in that sense. But I hope we can do that. There is still hope. The players in Asia that's coming through, and the players in Europe, the gap's really really close right now. I would say 10-15 years ago the gap is quite far away. Right
Yeah.
now the gap is even closer. So if there's a chance that we could see the next, I don't know, Sunil Chetri, or the next Baiching Bhutia, coming through that ranks and playing the Bundesliga, I would say we've done our job.
Yeah, definitely. And we definitely hope that it's an Indian player who plays for Borussia Dortmund in the coming years. And thank you so much for this, for your time, and thank you so much for all your vision, all your views on Dortmund as an organization, and getting to know the person behind. Thank you so much for
Sure.
your time. And this is Dr. Tanish Katti signing off from the Football Digest podcast and thanking Dr. Suresh Leshman.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tanish. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And yeah, hopefully we look forward to seeing all of you in India soon.